Okay, so I'm going to be giving my presentation on, well, not a presentation, but a discussion on the radical revision of my paper and what I found interesting while doing my research. The part that I found interesting in my paper was where I had noted Danvers High School mention of the word meat. And through that word and the the problems that came with it, it became so sensationalized that it officially became a term coined in Urban Dictionary as versatile. So, with me here, I'm going to be talking with my grandma.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. So, we're going to kind of just be discussing how the kind of how slang has evolved and how my grandma, who might not be too familiar with slang, how she feels about it, and we're just gonna have a back and forth discussion about slang and this Danvers occurrence. So, as I was mentioning, Grandma, we have that Danvers school, MEEP, and what do you think of slang? I mean, the word became so popularized that it was used throughout the whole school. Consequences were given, and it just breathed life into the word. Do you think that slang should be considered part of our vocabulary, or?
Well, it's automatically. I mean, there was slang when I was young too, but it was just everybody knew what it meant and knew the words. But nowadays, so many of the words that come out, I have no clue as to what they mean, and what might mean normal to me is slang to somebody else.
Okay, all right. So you feel like slang's something you definitely have to keep up with a lot?
Well, I don't keep up with it anymore, but I think that nowadays, if you're going to live in this world, you almost have to keep up with it.
Okay. Do you think slang should be considered kind of official then? I mean, if it's something that so many people use
In
at
the
some
right
point.
in the right place in the right time, yes.
Okay.
I would say in certain places like the business world, or maybe even in church, or those kind of places, I think slang should be left outside.
Okay.
But
All
I
right.
think in just general conversation, it's up to the individuals that are there.
Okay. So I know you've heard our cousin or my cousin uh, say the words like lit a few times. You had any thoughts
I
on
have
that?
no idea what that
No
means.
idea what it means. And there's a lot of words. Have you heard of the word bay?
No.
No. Yeah, there's a lot of words that have grown into popularity, and I'm sure just like the slang of your past, it does pass in time. But there are some words that I was finding through my research, like the word selfie, that started off as slang and that did become official through some dictionaries.
Oh, okay.
So, with that said, do you think slang has a chance to be official? Why do you think selfie became so official?
I have no idea, but I think slang has its place, but I also think there are times and places that it shouldn't be used, and because not everyone in the age groups that are in a certain place will understand it and
Okay,
understand what it means. I know I don't.
okay. So, do you you mentioned that you had some slang that was in your past. Any words?
Oh, good Lord, you're asking me to
Any
remember
words?
it way back when,
I think
I
it'd be
truthfully, I can't right
no.
now. I'd have to give it some thought. But most of the time, I realize that it's a language to itself.
Okay.
But um, if you're talking to somebody my age, you might not want to use it because we're not going to know what the heck you're talking about.
It does seem almost kind of like a fashion trend, almost like something
Yeah, it's
you
like
gotta.
another language, like they used to call, what was it? Uh, that Pig Latin,
Yeah, Pig
you know,
Latin.
or something like that. And I never did understand too much of that either. But I mean, everybody, if the people around you understand it, great, have a good time. But for the most part, in a mixed crowd where you have younger people and older people and in between, you're probably going to get a lot of funny looks.
Okay, I can agree with that statement. I think I typically don't use slang because I feel that the way I present myself and the way that I speak, it would just sound more of a joke. Like I would never be. The word lit is used in some
What does
contexts.
that mean?
That typically it means that someone uh, partied to the fullest
Oh, okay, that
with
makes
no
sense. Yeah.
concerns of what will
Now that
happen.
I understand what it means, it makes sense. But I mean, just in the general conversation, I would not understand that at all.
Okay. Now going back to like the official words, because I know you were saying that it is kind of necessary. Um, so I was reading that Oxford's process to submit new words relies heavily on etymology. And etymology is kind of the study of finding the origin of words. Um, so there's a lot that is done for their process.
Hmm.
A lot of people find the origin of words to slang. Do you think that's enough? Do you think that?
I don't know. I know that even nowadays, for me, even there are words out there in the Oxford Dictionary that I don't recognize from when I went to school. There's a lot of words that have been added that I have no idea what they are. I don't know how to spell them, and I used to be pretty darn good at spelling.
Yeah.
And I
I,
don't know.
I remember we talked once. There was a word floxanasini illopification. You remember that or no? I remember I was
Yeah.
sitting in the car and I was saying I was helping you out and I was saying it a whole bunch of times just trying to get it down. But I mean that's an official word. Do you think that should be more slang?
I don't. I see. Having to understand what the word means first of all. I mean, I used to enjoy spelling and I used to enjoy words in English and everything else, but nowadays it's a little bit confusing because a lot of words I have no idea what the meaning of them are. I have to look them up sometimes myself.
Okay, so there's a lot of official words that are even
Right,
confusing themselves.
right. And slang, oh my
What do you
goodness.
think would be easier to learn then? If there's so many official words, do you think it'd be harder to remember the official words or slang?
Well, nowadays it might be easier to learn the slang if I knew what the words meant.
Right, of course.
But with everybody has different interpretations of slang too.
That's true.
Not everybody interprets the same word the same way when it comes to slang.
Okay, I agree with that. So I guess my final question, just one last. What what do you think? Who do you think has more authority, the official dictionaries, or do you think places like the Urban Dictionary and slang? Do you
Well,
think?
I didn't even know the Urban Dictionary existed until you told me. I've always assumed that the official dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary, was the one that had the last word.
Okay.
Now I'm beginning to understand there's a lot wider picture.
Well,
But
the Urban Dictionary, the way it works, I didn't really get to explain how it works. It's kind of like a democratic way it works. So people present a word, they offer their definition, and then it's voted whether or not it should be considered a true word.
Oh, okay.
And if it receives enough downvotes, it gets taken completely out of the site. And
so it's just kind of a majority rules.
Right.
Well, I don't know if that works so good. Because not the majority doesn't always know what they're doing.
But it's the people who speak the language, right?
Yeah, that's probably right, Jake. It's
No, just a question. It doesn't have to be right or wrong.
No, I mean, you're probably right about that if I think about it. That if it is the people actually using the slang, then maybe they have the right to vote or whether or not.
Okay. So what do you think? Who has more authority in today's society? Who has more authority to the normal person?
You mean as far as the dictionaries go?
Mm-hmm. Slang.
I would say the normal person, once they get out of their teenage years, I'd have to say the Oxford Dictionary because you have to go with the majority, and that's what it is. Slang will come and go.
Okay.
But the Oxford Dictionary won't.
Okay. Yeah, that word meep, it's never used anymore. I've never heard it used. Actually, up until reading that, I've never heard that word. So I think that's an example that slang definitely comes and go, like you said.
And the definitions change over time, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Whereas with the
Oxford,
once a word is in there, that definition is there for...
It could be there for a while. It can change.
It can be elaborated on, but the basic definition is always included. The first definition of it, I mean, they may elaborate, but you'd find that if you go back, you'll find that the basic definition is always there.
Okay. Well, thank you, Grandma. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
I love you, sweet.
Love you too. So, Sorry, the video just cut out, so I'm just continuing where we left off. Uh, I thank my grandma. Uh, and the part that, like I said, that really interests me about my research done was that Danvers school incident. I think it really shows how a group of people can choose whether or not a word has significance. And meep, it's such a meaningless word. In Urban Dictionary, after that happened, it's considered just a versatile word that can be placed anywhere in a sentence. And I think it really shows that sometimes people can have a lot more authority over the Oxford Dictionary or the people that we deem the correct place to go when it comes to like English, the English language. So by the end of my paper, because of that one study and because of like the society that I find myself in, and maybe as I get further along, even though I don't use slang now, but I really do feel that people are who decide. It's people alone who decide what language is and what words will be used. Because in my paper, I also mentioned the word floxinacinai, ilipilification, and I've never ever heard that word used, but I've heard lit used a million times and I've heard bay used a million times. And to me, that word has more purpose than that longer word that I mentioned that's actually defined in the dictionary. So thank you for watching, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.